Mm. Oh my goodness. Where is everybody? What? What's going on with my page? Oh my God. There you guys. Sorry, I have something going on here with my thing. I can see myself. Where is it? What the heck? Oh, there you go. How's everybody doing? Oh, we have some extra people in the house today. Let's go. Waiting for Coach Lindsay here. Simon's in the house. Robbie. Hi, Robbie. Ashley. Making dinner, girl.
Not dinner. Somebody ate the last blueberry muffin for my son, so he's like, I need more muffins.
So cute. All right, so let's give it a minute here to see if more people show up. Give me a second. Oh my gosh, why is it doing this? So weird. There you go. Okay. Let me go get my phone charger. Be right back. 1 second. All right. Where's, oh, I have more people in the waiting room. So weird. Oh, there you go. Okay. Sorry. Working out and listening. Yes, let's go, Srabi. Love it. Okay, give me sorry. My computer looks so different and I can't figure it out this thing. Hold on. Okay. So weird. Okay. All right. Well, we are going to get this party started. Just putting my phone to charge here. Give me a minute. Did anybody received a message, a text message, reminding the call today?
I did.
Oh, nice. I love it. It worked. Because I was like, okay, there has to be, because I know sometimes people just forget that we have the call. So I was like, let's try to send a text message. I think that will work. So let's go into this right now. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start off. Lily's in the house too. Let's go. Okay. Welcome to our community group call. So excited to see Liz Swati with the camera on and everything. Like, hello. Like, wow, that's surprising. Okay, so I would love to start with the wins. Hey, Lily. Uh,
Bye.
How's it going? Beautiful. I'm gonna have the coaches, share some of the wins because it's been a while and I was just having a call with them and I'm like, you know what? We need to start this call with the wins. Let's share the wins first. So who wants to go? Tracy or Lindsay? Doesn't matter. Whoever.
Doesn't
Go,
matter.
Tracy.
Okay.
What are the wins there, girl?
So, I'm going to give a shout out to Swati because she's been working really hard and she's starting to see definition in her arms. And also, let's see, hold on, let me pull it up. And she's getting stronger in her hip thrusts as well. Then I have Leanne, she's also starting to notice some changes in her arms as well. She was in the shower and she was like, "What the heck? What is this muscle?" So, seeing lots of really good definition with her. Jenna is feeling stronger in the gym and she's also noticed that like when we adjust her calories that it's not showing up in her tummy like it used to. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's not affecting her waistline like it used to when we'd adjust her calories. And
Mm.
then who else? And then I had one more that I wanted to share. Oh, and then Lily, she went on vacation for like the longest time and came back and she did a post-travel flush protocol and she's feeling so much better. Her clothes are fitting great. She's happy and she's definitely feeling stronger in the gym. So, those are some of our wins for this week.
Let's go. I love that. Everybody's feeling stronger. I love that. Muscles, muscles, muscles. You know? What about you, Coach Lindsay? What do you got?
All right, well, this week I've got Tanya. She's feeling stronger because she's lifting heavier. We got her on a reverse. She had to do surgery on her foot, so she wasn't able to put too much weight on it.
Again?
And
Jesus.
no, this was back in August or lift
Oh,
heavy.
that same one. Okay.
So now we're coming back from that. She's lifting heavier. She's crushing the workout. So happy to see that.
Yeah.
Julie M. So Julie M. Morelli, she had quite the stressful month in regards to work and travel, but she managed to take time to relax for herself, stress management. She realized how much that was important and have that balance. She pushed herself on the workout because we're also in a reverse. She got
Mm,
lots of steps in while traveling and she made the best choices while traveling too. And she kept up with her macros. So proud of her there.
so good.
Christina, she's got some amazing wins. She's been for a long time working on sleep because she gets up at 4 to go work out. And so she was getting probably around 6 hours, but now we've come up to that 7 hour of sleep, which is
Nice.
fantastic. So she's feeling much better and she sees a much better difference with her mentally and physically and all that fun stuff. And she's proud of saying no to the sugar because she struggles with some sugar cravings. So she's getting better with that.
I love it.
Katie, she is, so Katie just wrapped up the flush too. She's feeling fantastic. She felt good on the flush and then she noticed that there's less brain fog going on. So that's a big, huge win for her.
I love it.
And I think that's everything.
Wow. And I remember, I was gonna say Jenna, that talked that she was like, what is this voodoo flush thing that you guys have?
What is this sorcery? Like
What
she
is
was
this
so
sorcery voodoo? And she was like, because for the longest time, she had so much brain fog, and I was just like, girl, you gotta do the flush. You gotta do the flush because, I didn't make the flush, um, how can I say, um, for the people that have been with us for the longest, over a year or so, now, okay, what I'm trying to say is that everyone that comes into the program now does the flush. I don't sell the program unless they agree to do the flush because I'm like, so Swati, if you had come to work with me now, you probably would be in the program because I know you do not want to do the flush. So that's the catch 22, right? That we have that because then, you didn't need to do the flush, but there are so many people that has been, benefiting so much from it, and one of them once again was Jana. She was just like miserable. And I was like, Jenna, girl, like, the flush, you got to do the flush. And swear she is like, what is this sorcery thing? I have my mind is back. I'm clear. I can think straight. I don't have this fog over my head all the time. So anyway, it's just so awesome because I know I experienced the same thing when I did my flush protocol. I had that, how can I say, short memory that it was happening. It was just so bad. It was just like, I would grab my phone to go do something and then forgot like, what I was going to do. And then the next thing I would do, and then I forgot again. And then it was just a constant thing. Like I could not understand. It was so frustrating. I would walk in a room and forget what I was going to do. But it wasn't like, just here and there. It was constant. It was an all day long thing. And I was just like, my God, this is horrible. Am I developing some kind of mental issues? Like, you know what I mean? That was scary. And and obviously the brain fog. And when I did my flush, that was the one thing that completely disappeared. Like completely. Like I never again experienced that. And I know that Seema, you also resisted, right? The flush, and then you did, and then what happened there, Seema?
Oh, now I just want to live on it, actually. Now I just for Swati who's saying maybe one day when you
Swat
finally
is like,
do it,
no, maybe
you'll
one
say,
day.
why didn't I do it sooner?
Let's go. Yeah, yes. After you do it, the first few days you're gonna hate. But after you do it, you're gonna be like, holy cow, where have you been all my life? Kind of a thing, So it really helps. I'm glad that you are, you're moving to the maybe. Yes, I want to live it on it too. Look at Ashley. Seriously, this has been one of the game changers for the program because, I think that most women nowadays that are coming to work with us, they are not just so fixated in losing weight, which is a breath of fresh air, to be honest. They are coming more like, I just feel terrible and I just want to feel good again, and the flush has done that because until you feel good, your body's not going to respond anyways. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. So, love all of those wins. Thank you so much, girls, for sharing that. So today, just want to have, honestly, I didn't even take time to be like, oh, what am I gonna say? Like some of these calls when it hits me, in my gut, like you need to share more on this. I like to just go free flow and share from the heart because one of the things that I noticed is the drop in the number of people that were coming to the calls. And I was like, what is going on here? Because at the end of the day, I know we are all busy, but I mean, nobody's life changed, right? To the point that people got busier, that they can just not come to the calls at all. And I'm like, what is the point of me doing this? If you're not coming to the call, it's probably because, you're not seeing the value of it, right? So then if you don't see the value, what's the point to be here? And what's the point of me being here? And I was like trying to figure it out, breaking my head, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And because when something is important, we make time for it, right? It doesn't matter. We always make time, especially if it's not every day. And one of the things I realized, even though I see people asking, talk more about hormones, talk about a perimenopause, talk about blah, blah, blah. The truth is, we talk about all of this on the check-ins, right? Every week you get a review for a good 10, 15. Sometimes if you get it from me, it's going to be easily a 20 minutes review, And we're talking about hormones, we're talking about protocols, we're talking about, so what is the desire to come spend an hour of your evening, right, listening to the same thing that you already know you're going to hear on your call, on your check-in? And I was like, okay, so what happened? We stirred from, working and talking primarily on this calls, truly about what is going on behind this mind, right? Our minds and how we think about things and how we deal with things and and what we are experiencing, why are we are feeling stuck and why we are seeing ourselves in a certain way or why we are discouraged or why we are just not motivated or why. See what I'm saying? Like, or how can I level up and be even better than what I am right now? So I think that this calls used to be, we had a lot more people showing up to the calls when we were really addressing those things instead of just like, hit your macros and, this is how you're going to lift too heavy or the how-to things. Does that make sense? So so I want to shift back into more mindset coaching. Something else that we are going to be doing is we're going to create a series and we are going to be having, every month we're going to have how can I say, an expert on something. Um, you know, like we used to do that. We would bring always, somebody, a guest to speak that, and it was a guest that was always either on, like nowadays everybody talks about the somatic, right? Somatic coaching or mindset coaching or, masculine, feminine energy, you know, how can I say, time management. I was even looking into how can I say, meal prep companies that actually teach you how to really do quick and fast meal prep things. You see what I'm saying? So bring you kind of more value like that. Do you think that those things, just put it on the, either give me a thumbs up or on the chat. Do you think that those things would bring more value for you in this calls? Seema said yes. Surab said yes. Okay. So yeah, we want to really stir, the direction, changing to, to back what was working, and adding more value to this call. So you can come to the calls with something new every month instead of what you get on the weekly check-ins. Sounds good? So amazing feedback there. So girls, take notes because we are going to be doing that for sure with them. So we're scouting right now for coaches to come in and share their expertise with us. I love time management. Oh my gosh, for us especially, everybody gets so stuck with that. So let's go into, the topic of the week. And I really want to invite you to, a little bit of my own journey in this last year. Yes, time management, meal prep. Yep. Yeah, we definitely put that on the list, Swati. So, a lot of times we continue to get, on the check-ins, especially, a lot of things about falling off the wagon when life gets hard, or, things that is happening that constantly, dominate our thoughts and keep us, from staying focused on the goals and the things that we want to do for ourselves because, life just gets hard sometimes, and it doesn't that's not necessarily me saying, hard in the sense that you lost somebody that you love, or because, somebody cheated on somebody. I'm not talking about that level. I'm talking about the day to day, the weekly to week stuff that happens in our lives, that it can get, overwhelming, and then we just keep spinning with those things, right? And then we end up not staying on course. And I find that the more that we go down into that rabbit hole, okay, with the mundane things that it keeps pulling us out of our wins, really, it starts to how can I say, weaken our mindset to the point that you don't see yourself winning anymore, right? Or you start to internalize things and you're like, okay, I, you know, okay, I cannot speak from, I can't go around. I'm going to have to be very straightforward with what I'm trying to share because otherwise I'm going to be around and around here. So I'm just going to start with my story. Okay. So you see if you can relate to this. So this year has been one of the hardest years of my life, and for so many reasons. And I don't think I need to share specifics of it, but it's been really, really challenging in my mindset. Like today, for example, I didn't want to show up for this call. Today was one of those days that I really wanted to tell the girls, like, I want to cancel the call today. Like, I had a moment today that I literally said, I cannot show up today. You know, how many times have you thought about, I just can't do this one thing, or I'm just gonna quit this one thing right now, right? I can't put up with this one more thing. I can't do this one more thing, right? You go into that little patty moment, right? But the end of the day, here I am, right? It's like when when we decide that it's like, I don't want to flip and go to that gym. I don't want to get one more flip and workout this week. I don't want to. And then all of a sudden you see yourself there, right? So, today it reminded me again, in the midst of all of that, that what is going on right here in my head, right, in my mind, in my emotions, does not need to dictate my actions, right? It won't if I don't allow. I find that a lot of times, we just keep allowing our emotions to run our lives, the decisions that we make, right? Instead of doing what we know it's right, regardless of how I feel. And we all have moments that we believe that what we are going through is justifiable. And I'm not going to say to you that sometimes I want to be a little bit on a pity party and I just want to cry and bawl and scrawl and just say, you know what, I need this moment right now, which is okay. I used to have a coach that, that he used to say, shit, but and then shift. It's okay to shit, but and then you shift, right? You don't stay there on your shit. See what I'm saying? And sometimes we just want to be on this little victim moment, which is fine. I think it's all valid. Feel sorry for myself just for a little bit. You know what I mean? Be like, oh, but nobody understands me. It's so hard. I can't do it. I can't take it. And then you hear that voice inside of you, oh, poor girl. You can't take it, huh? Right? And you're like, you know what? I can, right? So, what is dominating your thinking? What is dominating your thought? Yeah, shit and shift, right? What is dominating your thought constantly? So, one thing I found that this year I stopped doing that there are quite a few things that I stopped doing these last couple of years, to be honest. And one of them is meditation. Okay. And I love that Sim is on the call today because she hasn't been in the calls at all. I did not tell her that I would be sharing on this today at all, right? Finally, you just show up for the call for whatever reason. You probably picked up the vibe, the vibration, right? Because now I'm back in meditating, so my vibration is going blah, 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 back, and then I'm like start to manifest some things again. And I was just like, I stopped. I stopped working on my mind. I stopped working diligently on my mind. Yes, I go to the gym. Yes, I work out. Yes, I do all my protocols. Yes, because that's the thing, right? We think that, just because we are doing good here in one thing, right, it's going to translate into other things. I wish it was like that, right? But it's not, right? I know a lot of people that look good, but they are broke financially, right? So why is it that they can't translate their good looking and their way that they make things happen with their health, but they can't translate that into their finance? Well, because they are not as intentional with their finances the way they are with the body, right? Why do they have all this money and they have broken relationships, right? And they can, have a good relationship with their husbands or their kids. Well, same concept because they don't intentionally do, here, what did they do somewhere else? So I know I finally got outside for a walk today and I haven't done that for months. I reminded me how much that helps me clear my head. Yeah, right? So powerful there. So, and I think that, one of the things that we tend to think, honestly, for some of us, depending on where you start this journey, yeah, going to the gym is going to be part of your self-care. Yeah, hitting your macros is going to be part of your self-care. But in all truth, if this became already a habit in your life, okay, it's really no longer, that thing, that self-care, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. It's like if you never do your nails, right? And then you don't ever do your hair in a salon and you're like, man, I need a little self-care, right? Then I'll go to the salon and I get my nails done and I do my hair. That felt like a self-care because I don't do that often. But if I go do my nails every week, that's not self-care. It is self-care, but it doesn't do anything anymore. Does that make sense? So now the question is, what is it that is going to continue feeding me, feeding my soul, feeding me, and making me feel like I'm truly taking care of me, right? It's no longer, for me, it's no longer the gym because the gym is just what I do, right? So for me now is, my meditation. I got to go back to my meditation because nothing else is filling that hole. Nothing else is taking me to the other. And then maybe there will be a time that meditation is not going to be all that. Maybe it will be the walk, right? In nature, breathing, it's smelling you see what I'm saying? The point is the how can I say, the system is not the same constantly. It's going to have to be the thing that is going to help you fulfill at the moment that you are, because if you don't, right? If you just keep doing the same thing and you're not getting any results from that, your mind is going to start going down the drain with everything else that is happening there. So I think what I'm trying to say is that, you know, you got to reevaluate the tools on your little box, okay, of the things that helps you be stronger, stay more positive in a higher vibration, that is sometimes is not going to be the thing that it was last year, right? If it's not hitting home anymore. If it's not hitting home anymore, what else it is? Because if I don't, I'm going to, if you're not growing, you are, you're dying, right? If we're not, and the question that I like to ask myself is always like, have I changed? Okay. Right now, when I look at November 17th, 2025, how different I am from November 17th, 2024? And then I look the areas of my life, right? Where am I in my health? Where am I in my relationship? Where am I in my faith? Where am I? You see what I'm saying? So I look at all the buckets. And I don't know about you, but I'm one of those that if I don't work intentionally, I beat the crap out of me. I am just like we are, right? Our worst critics. And I noticed that lately I have just gone back to that mean girl that was just really beating the crap out of me. You know, oh yeah, you did this really good, but look at this that you're not doing, and look at that you're not doing, and look at this and that and that. And now here I am walking around like feeling defeated, feeling, like not proud of me, less than, right? So all the old, how can I say, you know, trauma of the past starts to come back because there was no work that was being done in the mindset. Yeah, sure, I listen to podcasts. Yeah, sure, I listen to YouTube. But guess what? That tool is not working. It's not hitting home anymore as it used to, right? So if anything you do on the autopilot, throw it in the trash because it's not going to work. Even if you're doing a workout on the autopilot, guess what? It's not going to work. Because you have to be intentional with the mind, and muscle connection when you're doing your training, your workout. Otherwise, the muscle is not going to grow. So anything you do on autopilot, girls, it's not going to take you anywhere. So you're going to have to take an inventory. And I think that that's the part that I'm inviting you this week. Okay, as we once again heading towards the end of 2025, we're going to head towards 2026. We like to do our vision board party and we like to do all those things, right? And we like to create our vision for 2020 for the next year. And I don't want you to hold and wait on until, January to start thinking about that. I wanted to start stirring up the pot, okay? Because if nothing changes, then nothing changes. Some of you already created amazing results with your body, and you are in this path of maintenance, and you're looking good, and you're feeling good, and you want to stay longer with us because you're like, hey, any shift that happens, I want to have a coach on my corner. Awesome. But now what we're going to add on this? What are we going to add in terms of your self-development? What else is going to be there for you? What else do you want to create for your next version for 2026? One thing I can't stand doing in my life, which I have allowed me to do this year, which has really pissed the flipping, oh my gosh, I'm so pissed off with that. And I probably need to have some sessions to just get rid of this pissed off moment that I have, is I don't like to live my life unintentionally. And I realized that there's some areas of my life this year that I did live that way. And that's no wonder why that part of my life didn't grow. And I feel and I felt very disappointed at myself that in 2025, I can't say that it was a year of exponential growth in so many areas, you know? So I want to ask you, what is it for you? Where are you at? And maybe you are, I don't know, Lily, for example, I flip in love, where this girl is in her mindset. She's like, she came in, she had this big flipping goal, she's crushing it, she's feeling amazing. She had this vacation, she had this, she had that. I don't know where you are with this, Lily, but where are you for 2026? What else you want to see? Swati, oh my gosh, I can't even begin to say. Like, you completely transformed. When I looked at your photos before from, almost 2 years ago, and I look at now and I look at your confidence and I look at how you talk, how you even being in this call and even being open to, the flush protocol, it's like totally different person. Surabi, and I can keep going and going. Ashley, seeing you, conquering, whatever that things that you were dealing with there. We can see the work that you're putting intentionally. So there's so much that I see evolving, and I'm gonna tell you, ladies, inspire me so much. You inspire us so much because when it comes to my body, I got it. But and then there's all the areas that I dropped the ball that I am just like, holy cow. But and then, my call with Coach Lindsay and Coach Trace this week was I made a decision to do it again, right? Because if you're gonna stay in that place of just beating yourself up, have you been in that place where you think that maybe you just dreamed too much? Have you been in that place that you thought that, maybe I'm just not cut up for that. Maybe it's just not gonna happen for me. Have you been in that place? Maybe I've tried so much that probably it's not gonna happen. Probably I'm just delusional about this. Maybe I should have just changed my goals and maybe I should have just not dreamed that big. Have you ever been in those places in your life? And you're like, maybe it's just gonna be this. Maybe this is all I can create. This is just as good as it gets. Have you ever been in that place in your life? And you just like, maybe I should just change directions. Maybe I should just not do this anymore. Have you been there? Yeah, because that's where, I've been this year a few times. And I turned 50 and I was just like, okay. So is this it? Is this as good as it gonna get? So am I trying everything so hard and I'm still not with the things that I said that I want to accomplish for me? And then you come to that decision. And that may be for you that it still could be your body, the body that you want to build. Maybe it's not gonna happen for me. Maybe I'll never have that, you know, nice and tight tummy. Maybe I'll never be able to wear whatever. Maybe I'll never, I don't know what is your maybe you would never. Only you know what your maybe is that you would never. But I know that we all have that maybe this is not for me. I know we all have that. But everything comes down to a decision again, you know? And I had to really have a conversation with the guy upstairs. And I had to say, like, why are you making this so hard? What is it that I gotta prove? What is it that I gotta do? What is it that I gotta change, in order for me to actually get that? Or, I think I'm doing everything. I think I'm working really hard. I think I am, doing what I believe I'm called to do. Why are you making it so hard for me? But then I was just like, you know what? I didn't get an answer, but I had to come back to the decision, just like having to come back to show up in this call, right? It's like, I'm going to flip and believe it again, right? I'm going to believe it again. Yes, I'm disappointed. Yes, I'm frustrated. Yes, there's all this work. Yes, that I get it. But I'm going to believe it again. I am not going to quit. I'm not going to throw in the towel. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen for me. I'm not, you see what I'm saying? Like at some point there has to be a decision because one thing I've noticed this year is that as long as I stay in limbo, Is it this? Is it that? Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I move this? Or maybe I should and I shouldn't. I go, but I don't. I go all. As long as you are on that limbo vibration, all you attract is that same energy, the same people, the same level of commitment, the same. Does that make sense? Everything just keeps matching that, right? So if I believe that I'm the creator of my own story, of my own destiny, it's like, okay, what is it that I need to do to get back to where I fell off the wagon? And if it's the protocol that it didn't work, well, did I work the protocol, right? If it's this thing, oh, but I can blame everything. But hello, when was the last time you read a book? Hello, when was the last time that you did a meditation? Hello, when what you see what I'm saying? When did you actually went back and did the work to put yourself in that state of believing again? So it was really the guy upstairs that was making so hard for me. It was really the protocol that didn't work. Was really that, that coach that, is not doing the thing that you said that you want to do, right? It's like, no, I have to believe it again. And that's where, I came to the call with the girls this week and I said, I'm sorry that I have been in the limbo and I got to be 100% vulnerable with you girls, but I am going to believe it again. I'm going to go again. I'm going to go for it again. Okay. Yes, I'm disappointed, but I'm going to go it again. Okay. I'm not going to stay here. I'm doing it again. Okay. I'm going to create that vision board again. I am going to do the meditation again. I'm going to write the flipping journal again. I'm going to write that dream again. Right. I'm going to believe for whatever that I'm believing for myself again. I'm going to forgive again. I'm going to drop and let it go again, right? Whatever that is, you're going to have to make a decision. I'm going to go again. But what if I get hurt again? You're going to go again. Because what is the alternative? To sit in defeat, right? To sit in a place where you don't have that relationship the way you wanted to have, to sit in defeat because you don't have the body that you said you want to have, to sit in defeat because you don't have the business that you said you want to have, to sit in defeat because you don't have the whatever, right? What is the alternative? It's like the same thing of losing weight and staying, and it's hard. It's hard to lose weight and hard to be overweight. Choose your hard. It's hard to believe again. It's hard to forgive again. It's hard to go after again. It's hard, but it's also hard to be bitter. It is hard to be disconnected from yourself, disconnected and frustrated with yourself and disappointed with yourself. It's hard either way. But one is going to give you all the amazing possibilities, and one is just going to keep you defeated, aging, right? Feeling like, that's it for me. Is this lending, girls? Am I just talking around and around here? Because I really want to stir the pot for you for this next year. And I wanted to say for you from a place of full-blown vulnerability. If you're going to do it, do it. Because I am telling you, there is nothing that it destroys your confidence more than when you say you're going to do something and you don't do it. And I did that 2 years on the road, in the road, on the road, in the road. 2 years. 2 years. And that has nothing has made me more disappointed about myself than saying I would do that and I didn't do something and I didn't do it. Because that's not the kind of person that I am. I'm like a bulldog. I hold on to a flipping bone and I do not let go. And I don't know what the heck happened that I allowed myself to just not do that, not commit all the way with certain things in my life. So Would love to open, for some comments, what is landing for you here? Um, I want to, like I said, this call is not about we're gonna, do this and that. No, this call is about stirring out the pot for 2026. But I don't want you to put it on that list, as your coach that has been doing that and it's not flipping working. Okay. Something that you're not going to do it. That is just a wishful thinking. That is just a wish-wash, whatever, right? You gotta, go for one thing. And what is that for you? Anybody wants to share? Anybody that is lending for anybody? You can unmute yourself.
No, I think it's really good. I liked your how you have been really vulnerable about things. Something that came up for me when you were talking about, not committing and, kind of falling back into old patterns is, there are things that come up in our mind, different fears, probably different traumas that from our past that keep us from doing things because, we all have parts of ourselves that tries to protect ourselves from, from growing because our brains, even though it's very smart and it's intelligent, it can also be our very worst enemies
Mhm.
by saying you can't do this or, it's okay if you just don't do that and everything because it doesn't like to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And, one thing that I saw recently was, um, somebody saying, the things that you want are on the other side of what you're not willing to do. And so, and whatever that is that keeps you from doing those things, whether that's fear, do it anyway. What if I mess up? Do it anyway. What if I fail? Do it anyway. What if I, whatever, fill in the blank of whatever that is, do it anyway. Because like Coach Patricia said, like, the alternative is, you're guaranteed to fail if you quit. As long as you keep trying and you keep pivoting and you keep moving forward with different, different aspects, like you'll find the thing that lands for you and you'll find that thing that makes it click and then it'll become a part of who you are.
Yeah. I'll have that. Anybody? I see you, Lindsay.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, I think we can all resonate with that. I mean, when we had our chat the other day, when you were bringing that up, I was like, you know what? I can totally relate to that because I got trapped in like the everyday life, right? I gotta do this, and then I gotta do this, and then I'm constantly, okay, now I'm pivoting and I have to do this, and this has to get taken care of. So I'm always thinking like about the future,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when I'm thinking about the future, I'm getting myself worked up sometimes too, right? Okay, well, I got to make sure this is done, this has to get done, and I got to do this, and blah, blah, blah. So then that creates turmoil. But what I noticed is that self-development kind of just got put on the side, right? And I know that when I'm not working on myself, then that's when all those old patterns start coming up or the paradigms start coming up and resurfacing. And then you start believing certain things about yourself that aren't true, or you create stories in your head that aren't true. But then when you're being really intentional, like you said, like when I'm being really intentional, I'm not thinking about that stuff. And in fact, I'm a much better person. I'm way more positive because I
Mm-hmm.
am more focused on what I can do, what I'm when I know I can do, and I'm focusing on like the positive affirmations. And then the energy of that fuels those around me too. So then as I show up better as a mom, right? I show up better as a
Mm-hmm.
coach. I show up better as a daughter, a sister. So it leads into my life entirely, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
getting back with the tools
The
that
tools.
help keep
Yeah.
me in that mindset.
Yeah. I love that. Anybody else?
And
See
it
my, go ahead.
it's one of those things that it's like, what you feed is what you get. Like it's kind of like, growing your own garden. Whatever you plant and you feed and everything, that's what's going to grow. So if you're feeding your mind positive things and you're believing in yourself, then, that's going to raise your vibrations. It's going to, get you in the mindset of looking for more positive things, you know, and then on the other side, like if you're feeding yourself like, I can't do this, this is too hard, you know, then you're always going to feel like you're not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you letting in, right? And the other thing is, if it was just about how it affects how I see myself, that would be one thing. But it starts to affect how you see other people because now the filter that you are, using, it's not, the best filter, right? It's not the high level positivity, believing for the best, filter, right? You think that everybody's out to get you. You think that your husband has the biggest, malicious things, that you like he's, or your kid is, everybody's out to get you, you see what I'm saying? And the reality, and it starts affecting that, but the reality is the filter that you are seeing everything. I'm not saying that everything's perfect, that people don't do wrong things, that people are not malicious. I'm not saying that. It's, let's just not be naive, but you know, I've noticed that when I'm really in a more, how can I say, high level positivity, thinking the best, giving people the benefit of the doubt, the benefit of the doubt, right? You see what I'm saying? It's just things, it starts to get more into harmony, right? Opposed to chaos and fear and anxiety and all those things that, we allow to, to feed, and you just get stuck, and all of a sudden I'm here like, oh my gosh, what the hell is going on? Who am I? I'm like, this is not me anymore. Like, what happened there? Does that make sense? And then you gotta look at yourself, and like I see that with women, right? Like I don't recognize myself anymore. And my question now is, in what levels? Right? Is that just hormonally that you don't recognize yourself, or you also don't recognize yourself because of who you becoming in this process, right? Does that make sense? All of this resonates. I struggle with getting pulled back into those old patterns when I'm not doing the self-development or spend time with those who bring me down. I make choices that disappoint my true self in order to fit in, or make others happy. I struggle keeping those boundaries up. I can share or I would cry. I am in the thick of things at the moment, right? Sorry. Sorry, Ashley, you're going through all of that. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. Um, just know you're not alone. There is, this struggle is real when it comes to not standing in our health boundaries. I had to make certain hard decisions lately for myself, but but I'm doing that because I'm starting to choose me first again. Going back to love yourself to the core. Sometimes we got to be selfish a little bit. Otherwise we get swallowed up by everybody's perspectives and ideas and wishes, right? And how you should act and not act, and think and not think, and walk and not walk. And I don't know if I'm saying this right, but there's a quote that it says, "You are not what you think you are. You are what you think other people think that you are. You are not what you think you are. You are what you think that people think you are." Right? So now we got to stop and think, wait a minute here. What is it that I'm trying to live out that people think about me, that I think that they think about me, that I'm trying to match up to this, right? And once again, when we are not intentionally about self-development, the way that we are intentionally about our bodies and our health and everything else, that mind will go to the cracks, you know? Coach Sim, I know you're so good in this kind of thing. You want to share a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for being so vulnerable on this call with everyone because that is never easy. But you've always been the person to open up the room and make everyone else think and feel the things that sometimes we don't want to think and feel, right? We want to just keep burying it down because it's easier, right? It's easier to be numb and to just keep going, right? To keep doing the daily grind because we don't have to then stop and dig into this. And it's hard, right? But like you said, you get to choose your hard. And I think, there's a few things that you've said that are really important, that kind of brought up, some important points that, you know, when you were talking about the filter of when you start to feel this way, you start having this filter that everyone's out to get you now. And, it's this idea of going back to at the end of the day, like when you start to feel that way, it's because you stopped giving them grace, right?
Mm,
Like, I'm not giving my husband grace. I'm mad. He's being a dick. He's being this. He's being that, right? Because you feel like he's attacking you because you have this filter now. And it started though when you stopped giving yourself grace. We can
mm,
only give anyone around us the amount of grace that we give ourselves. So you have to start with you. So in response to your comment, it isn't selfish, right? It's not selfish, right? It's a necessary care to do all the things so that you can find that grace for yourself. Because only then will you be able to find that grace for everybody else, right? And the second thing is, and I know we've talked about this a lot, we have our vision board. It's beginning of 25 to the end of 25, and then it's the beginning of 26 to the end of 26, right? But we know that sometimes we've put things on our vision board and it doesn't happen in that calendar year because that's just a calendar year, right? Nobody said that it's supposed to happen by the end of 2025 or it was supposed to happen by the end of 2024. And we both have had things on our vision board that didn't happen in that year, but they happen
mm.
later, right? Because there's a season, right? There's a season for everything. There was a
Yeah.
season of focusing on my health, and now there is a season of focusing on my family. And there was a season for you where you focused on your relationship. And when you didn't focus on it, it didn't pan out. But when you did put your intention and energy to it, it came to fruition, right? It came a
Yeah.
year later. It came after she ripped up her vision board, ladies. It happened, and she did. She ripped it up. Um, but it
I
did.
don't know if you noticed, I have a little attitude kind of a person, you know.
But we've all been there. I mean, I had my vision board that had a house on it, and it didn't happen last year. But I put a house on my vision board this year, and God willing, I might be closing on it this week. So, it and the house that I put the picture of almost looks like the house that we're gonna get. Like it just, things happen, but there's a season for it. And you
Yeah.
don't necessarily get to determine that time, right? The beautiful thing about all of this, and I shared this with a client the other day, is that you have a timeline, but that doesn't mean that that's the timeline, right?
Yeah.
Story, your story isn't over yet.
Hmm.
This is not the end. You
Yeah.
feel like it's the end because you're exhausted, because you don't want to put any more energy into it, because it's been hard, because you're like, why is this still happening to me? Why can't I get this to happen? Right?
Mhm.
So you think it's over, but nobody said the story is over yet,
Yeah.
right? Your story is still going. It's now a choice how you want to carry on in that story.
Yeah. So good. That's so good. I think that brings so much grace into the picture, right? Um, it just gets it just gets really hard when you are dealing with, other people involved as well. And I can see that for you, Ashley. Um, But then it's just like Seema said, right? You got to keep going back to that place of self-love and grace for you and grace for you, and just making sure that you're taking care of you is just going back to that. I watched a video the other day that was so sweet. It was so nice because I saw her, yourself, and she was like talking to herself and telling her, if I find, I think I have, I'm gonna post it on the group. It's totally worth to watch. And she was like, just having the full-blown conversation with herself, like I see what, yes, I know you tried that today and it didn't work, and I know you just, yeah, I know you just want to go to the store and get all of this, da, 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 and I see that and she was like touching her and just like, and I know you just need that hug right now. I see, oh yeah, you have anxiety like that. I totally, it was just so beautiful to see that the amount of self-care that she was giving to herself. I don't know about you, but sometimes for me, I have to go back into that child, my inner child, and make sure that she understands that she's okay. Because if I'm not there, she's freaking out, especially if you are one of those that came from a lot of trauma in your childhood. I sure did. People that have gone through the amount of trauma that I have, I'm gonna have to be intentional about my work my entire life because that little child is way too wounded, that I have to constantly being back to her. And that's when the self-development I can't allow to drop to the cracks, because if it does, then I self-destruct. Does that make sense? So you gotta know your boundaries, right? Because if you don't, and then you're just giving back constantly, and people just taking from you, then you start becoming that bomb that is ready to tick at any moment. Does that make sense? Um, but one thing that I want to say here before we go is, and once again going back to self beat up. Sima, you know, she saw the experience of me being really pissed about, the vision board that I had put together and I had worked so hard to accomplish. But it wasn't just me that was on a vision board. It wasn't just like I wanted a house, right? That year I wanted to get married, right? My vision depended on somebody else ability to get into my life and do what they, and it happened, right? The next year, it didn't happen that year, but the next year happened. So all that work that I put prior, that it didn't show up, it wasn't wasted, you know what I'm saying? But it feels that it was wasted. It felt like it was wasted, right? And then because it was a tremendous amount of work, and I think that's one of the things with me. I'm not one that I can, and I think, okay, I think what I'm trying to say is that I don't know if you can relate to this, but when some people can figure out how to put all their buckets, at the same time, they can do the body, and then they have the relationship, and then they have the finances, and they have all this like woohoo, and that's the place that I wanted to see happening for me. But it feels like sometimes, and especially a couple of years, that if I put my attention all here, then this other bucket drops. And then I'm like, oh shit, let me go back here and try to fix this one now and work on this bucket. And then the other bucket falls, right? And then it's, you see what I'm saying? And then it's like, when can I have it, all this shit together? Right? You see what I'm saying? And yes, I pour my heart and my soul and all my money, everything I could into my relationship, and it's here, it's flourishing, and I'm so grateful for it. But and then some of the airs all fell off the wagon, and I'm like, crap, now I need to go put all that, but then I'm afraid to go all in there because now is that what is gonna happen with this? Does that make sense? So there's this whole thing, but I think the invitation here is, instead of, wanting to hold the whole world, right? At the same time together, it's like what Sima is saying that, and it's the conversation that I have been having lately is like, I'm gonna believe it again. Right? And like I said, whatever that is for you, if it is believe it again that you can have the relationship, is believing again that you can forgive, is believe it again that you can sum up the faith and the energy to go back and take care of your health again. I don't know what is your believe it again, right? Believe it again. what are the tools that you're going to have to use to believe it again to help you now get into that place so you can, start developing whatever that is and manifest that thing you want for you. So I would invite you for this next few calls that we're going to have to come back to these calls thinking about that because we're going to invite you to, our vision board in January. We're going to do it through the Zoom. Normally we send, a vision board. I don't know. We're still deciding that with the coaches this week. And I would love to see, if you want to be part of this. And, obviously I don't make any money off of that. It's just a matter of us getting together as a group and sharing things and, creating our intention for 2026 and, and really go for it. And the majority of you are going to be with us at least until forever, at some point next year. So then you can share with us, what are the things that are happening for you there in that process. Does that make sense? So we can get more out of this program than just our bodies and our health, which is so amazing. But for those of you that's what it is, and that's what it is. But can we get more? Because we used to bring that to the table, and I want to bring this back to the table. Please do vision board. I love that. All right. So anybody else before we go? Any comments, anything that you would like to share? Surabi, I see you, girl.
So I wanted to say, I've been doing this program with you since April, and I go up and down, and I know that. I just hurt my finger when I was at my highest. Like I was so happy doing the workouts. I was developing habits. My finger got hurt, and then I took 2 weeks off, and then it became 3 weeks. It became 4 weeks, and in between all it takes is Coach Lindsay saying 5 minutes of something to me, and it just like a constant, it right away, my set changes and I come back to life. And all she said to me was, come back to it, girl. What's your purpose? Why did you get back into it? Why did you join this program? Just like 3 sentences she said.
Mm,
Every time I fall down, I think about those sentences over and over again. Do I have my purpose and why fully neatly written down? I have bits of it, but I don't have all of it. But I know why I started. And she reminds me, but at the same time, she always recommends that I also celebrate my wins. I mean, I've come so far. It's hard because when I share with other people how far I've come, they look at my body and they're like, you've lost 7 pounds. I don't really see it, whatever. Or my mom will make a comment, oh, it looks like you're putting that weight back on again. People will just say comments just because of what I'm wearing. And then, I mean, it's max you hard. It just really hurts. But at the end of the day, I didn't do it to lose weight. I remember why I did it. I wanted to get back into feeling good about myself and having energy and all of those other things. So again, it's hard because society's hard. People are hard. People just make comments. They don't think about the journey that it took to even get this far. But again, nobody's going to come pat me in the back. I have to pat myself in the back. Thank God I have a great coach who tells me that too. But at the same time, I think we all just really need to be kind to one another. And whatever
mm,
people do to me, I do extra kindness to other because I wish someone had done it for me. So whatever people don't pour into you, pour into others because there's another woman that's hurting out there. So
mm. That's so good. Oh
yeah.
my God. Damn, that's good because I do remember our first call. I do remember our first call, girl. And it's you only right, where you were and where you are now. So that is, very inspiring. Thank you for reminding of that. I should take that into consideration for myself in the areas that I'm working on. You know, um, and this is what is this all about, girls? You know what I mean? Lily, I see you. What do you want to say, girl?
I'll just share quickly that I think, a breakthrough perhaps in the harmony mindset side of things because I realized over this past week that maybe I really love my body for the first time ever
Mm,
because everything, I had my breast thing that I got organized earlier in the summer, and then since then I've been working pretty diligently with you and the team, and I'm I'm just strong and everything fits right and everything's in the right place. And every day I'm strong. And every day now my time is more organized and I'm not wondering when I'm going to eat next, whether I should eat next, how much I should eat next. Like now I have a rhythm to how I move through my food and my day and my energy is even and I can focus on other things. And it's a very big breakthrough. And I think it opens up anything else. It opens up like the next things to focus on. It's very liberating and it's been a really it's a big deal. Feels amazing.
Wow.
So I guess I got to the other side of something that confused me and stopped me for a really long time or distracted me for a long time. And I had so many of the pieces, but I didn't know how to put them together. And when they do start falling in place, it's illuminating for life. So I'm grateful and thank you, and I feel great.
Wow. That is, very, very, those words really echoing in my heart from all of you because I
Yes, you
I
needed to
almost
hear.
I almost I almost quitted this year. I almost said I am done with this. I am going to shut everything down. I almost did.
Don't quit it. I'll tell you the other thing I thought this week, and this is what I was in the sauna. That's why my camera's off. But I, I, I go to my gym all the time and I see the trainers that are there, and some of them I've worked with or I've worked with other places. And I think the trainers in the gym where you go and see them for half an hour, a couple times a week, or maybe an hour, I think they keep bodies moving, but I don't think they transform bodies. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, your work is very, very different. And so don't give up on yourself.
And that right there is the part that is sometimes it's that's what I was having this conversation with God the other day. I was like, man, I know we are transforming lives. Why is it so hard? And you know, um,
People can't see you,
yeah,
right? So they don't understand
yeah.
it and they don't.
Why is it so hard? Because we're not here just to lose weight. You know what I mean? That's the calling. But I almost ended everything this year a couple of times actually. And I'm just
Well,
being
my life is changing, so
and I
take
know
that.
it's just not it's yours and a lot, 700 women. Obviously, we didn't transform 700, but we have coached a lot of women to massive transformations. But it's just that got really heavy on me this year. But like I said, I had this conversation with Lindsay and Tracy. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. you know, like bring it on. Let's go.
Mm.
Let's go. That's that fire back that I'm getting. I'm not going anywhere. Let's flip and go.
Mm.
You know, I love you and keep putting the work on you. It's always pays off, always pays off. Think about what you want to create for 2026. Let's start working on that in your mind so we can put the vision board together and we'll tell when we're going to have that party and then you can bring your glass of wine and enjoy. The work you do is very hard, Coach Patricia. Keep it up. Thank you. Yes, it is. It is hard, but I have an amazing team. I'm so proud of these girls. They just couldn't do it without them. I love you, girls. Appreciate, and I see you in a couple of weeks. Keep it up. Let's go.